Can an emergency stop in Perth, Australia, prove flat Earth? Yes, it can. As we see here, Earth has wind currents around it. You can see here the wind currents going around the edge of the flat Earth. As you observe the wind currents, those jet streams with a speed of around 400 kilometers per hour or 250 miles per hour add to the speed of the airplane. This explains flights from Sydney, Australia to Chile, and more important for now, explains the stop from Johannesburg to Australia to Sydney, an emergency stop in Perth right here. First of all, let's learn a little bit more about the jet streams.
On the 7th of January, a British Airways Boeing 777 flew from New York to London in just 5 hours and 16 minutes, instead of the usual 7 hours, an exceptionally short flight time for a subsonic commercial aircraft. The aircraft's engines had not been pushed more than usual, but had simply taken advantage of an exceptionally strong tailwind, in this case a jet stream with twice the force than usual. To understand this phenomenon, more pronounced in winter, we went to Météo France, the French National Meteorological Service.
This is the result of a strong temperature contrast in the troposphere found between the ground and up to an altitude of 10 kilometers, 33,000 feet. The more the contrast between the temperatures are, the more the jet stream speed will be. Gradually, as the altitude increases, the wind speed also increases by up to a maximum of around 10 to 12 kilometers, 6 to 8 miles.
During the transatlantic flight, the British Airways Boeing 777 benefited from a particularly powerful jet stream with a speed of around 400 kilometers or 250 miles an hour. The aircraft thus attained a speed approaching 1,200 kilometers or 745 miles an hour, close to that of the sound barrier. There was no danger, however, concerning air friction on the fuselage, since the plane was flying with the wind, not against it. Its relative airspeed had therefore not changed. It was only its relative ground speed which had increased, a saving in time and money for an airline. On a New York to London trip, for example, a long haul can save as much as 15,400 pounds of fuel thanks to a jet stream, translating into a saving of around $5,000. The pilots also have maps of these well-known winds and flight plan calculation software, tools that allow them to avoid or alternatively use these wind currents in order to ensure maximum flight safety.
To better understand how the jet streams work around the flat Earth, let's compare the jet streams with a circle ring road. Bitonto, the city in Italy with a near-perfect circle ring road. As you see here, let's look at this map. There is a circle road all around the city. Now, the city where my parents live in Brazil also has a circle road like this, where you get from point A to point B faster. Why? Because those circle roads normally there are no traffic stops or traffic signs like stop signs. You drive up to a speed of 70 miles per hour, making it faster for you to get from, let's say that you live right here and you want to get to this place right here. If you go through the city, you have all the stop signs and traffic lights and traffic. It's way faster for you just to get on the circle road and drive and get off right here and get to the point where you want to go. That's how we do in Brazil, the city where my parents live. That's how they do in Bitonto, Italy. And this is exactly what happens on the flat Earth, going from South Africa, Johannesburg, to Sydney, Australia. Now let's look at the same concept on the flat Earth. Here we are again with the map of the city of Bitonto in Italy with the circle ring road around it. Now imagine, let's look at the flat Earth map and compare these two cities. These two maps. Okay? So You see here, superimposed on the city of Bitonto, the flat Earth map with the wind jet streams going around, the wind currents. You see here Johannesburg, Sydney, and Perth. So the flight, Qantas flight 64 took off from Johannesburg towards Sydney, but had to make an emergency stop here in Perth due to a woman getting sick. This is the way they go. They get on the jet stream and fly around it to get to Sydney, and they had to make a stop here in Perth. There's no secret about this flight. When I was asked to talk about this flight, this emergency landing, globe believers probably didn't think about all this stuff. Many globe believers do not know how wind jet streams work. They just question the flat Earth without even studying the globe Earth itself. That's why we will compare not just this flight from South Africa to Sydney. We will compare all the flights, and let's compare with the flat Earth map and see which one makes more sense. Now here it is, the jet streams are going around in this direction right here. This explains easily not just the flight from Johannesburg to Sydney, Australia, with the emergency landing in Perth, but also it explains the flight from Sydney, Australia to Chile. They go on the jet stream and get there. They don't need to even fly around here. So now let's compare all the flights from Johannesburg to Sydney, not just the one non-stop flights. Let's compare all of them and see which one, the ones that make more sense on the flat Earth than looking at the globe Earth. So I went to this website, South Africa. They sell tickets, flight tickets from Johannesburg to Sydney, cheap flights from Johannesburg to Sydney. I have a lot of interesting information here. Not only direct flights from Johannesburg to Sydney are with the Flying Kangaroo or Qantas and South African Airways and take a nap 20 hours. Amazingly enough, it is often cheaper to fly from Johannesburg to Sydney via the Middle East. So use the flight booking tool on the left right here to compare Qantas or South Africa Airways against airlines like Emirates, Qatar Airways, and Etihad. Be warned though that going via the Middle East turns an already long travel into a couple of days. Now look at this stuff here, guys. We're going to talk about one by one all of these flights here. But Qantas Airways, Johannesburg to Sydney, non-stop, 19 hours, 45 minutes. South African Airways, Johannesburg to Sydney, non-stop, 19 hours, 45 minutes. Wow. Now let's look at one by one. Let's start with Etihad Airways, Johannesburg to Sydney, one stop in Abu Dhabi, 32 hours, 50 minutes. Let's compare the globe and the flat Earth map. Here we have Johannesburg, we have Sydney right here, and this huge flight up the ball and then down to Sydney again. Let's compare this to the flat Earth map and see which one makes more sense. Here we have Johannesburg, Sydney, Australia, Abu Dhabi right in the middle, in between. Now you guys decide if you're new to flat Earth. Just look at these two flights and you decide which one makes more sense. As my position, this is how I came to believe in the flat Earth, because this is what makes more sense, in my opinion, makes more sense. Okay, now let's look at the next flight. Very similar. This flight is by Emirates. Then the first one we talked about was by Etihad Airways. Emirates, Johannesburg to Sydney, one stop, 31 hours, 45 minutes in Dubai. Let's look at these flights on the globe and then let's compare with the flat earth. Here you go. Johannesburg, Dubai, Sydney. Okay, the distance between Dubai and Sydney will be even longer than just going straight from Johannesburg to Sydney compared to the globe here. Let's look at the flat earth map. Here you have Johannesburg, Sydney, and Dubai right here in the middle. Now you guys, one more time, if you're new to flat earth, compare these two maps and see which one makes more sense. Alright? Let's move on to the next one. Alright, our next flight, Cathay Pacific Airways, Johannesburg to Sydney, one stop, 31 hours, 25 minutes in Hong Kong. Let's look on compare on the maps. You have it on the globe. Johannesburg, Sydney right here, Hong Kong right on top. Okay, all the way to the top. 31 hours flight. Not according to Google. Don't believe these hours here. Okay, they are not telling you the truth. They are lying to us. Let's compare the flat earth map. Right here, we have it. Johannesburg. You have Sydney and Hong Kong right along the way. One stop. So guys, you decide which one do you think makes more sense. I already know. Flat earth to me is the truth. This map is an amazing map. Explains the flight routes all over the flat earth. Alright, so the globe, in my opinion, it makes sense only if the earth were a ball, but the earth is not a ball. It makes no sense. So let's move on to the next one. Alright, Singapore Airlines, Johannesburg to Sydney, one stop, 29 hours, 40 minutes in Singapore. Let's look at this flight on both flat earth and on the globe. Here's on the globe. Johannesburg, Tambo International Airport, Sydney, Singapore right up here. Right? As I said, do not believe these times here because Google is lying. Don't believe this. Now let's check on the flat earth map. And there you have it. Johannesburg, Singapore right here, Sydney. Johannesburg to Sydney. Stop at Singapore by Singapore Airlines. This is what is going on. This is what makes more sense. I'm not gonna say that makes no sense in the globe because if the earth were a globe, it would have to make sense, but since the earth is not a globe, it doesn't make any sense. The last flight we will be talking about is this the Thai International Airways, Johannesburg to Sydney, one stop, 30 hours, 25 minutes, one stop in Bangkok. So anyway, let's compare this on the globe and on the flat earth. Let's check the globe first, is this one. Johannesburg, Sydney right here, all the way up there, Bangkok. Okay, do not believe this time is not the truth. Google is lying. Alright, now let's look at the flat earth. And right here, Johannesburg, Sydney, Australia, Bangkok right in the middle. Alright, so which one makes more sense? In my opinion, the flat earth wins. The globe earth loses 5-0. Okay, so let's go back and look at the jet streams now. Alright, in conclusion guys, this is pretty easy to be explained. Actually, this is like taking candy of a kid. I don't know why globe believers may have so much trouble in understanding this. We learn about the jet streams around the earth. Okay, we know the directions, the speed, how pilots use it to gain time. All right, we heard the explanation. It has no friction on the aircraft because the airplane is flying with the wind, not against it. So it has no problem. They add 250 100 miles per hour just flying on the jet streams. So this is what they do when they leave Johannesburg towards Sydney. They get on the jet streams right here, emergency landing Perth. Explains also the flights between Sydney and Santiago, Chile. The same thing, same concept. They fly with the jet streams. Let's take a listen to the explanation one more time.
The pilots also have maps of these well-known winds and flight plan calculation software, tools that allow them to avoid or alternatively use these wind currents in order to ensure maximum flight safety.
Okay guys, I'm closing this video. I hope you all doing okay. God bless each and every one of you. Whether you are a globe believer or a flat earth believer, Jesus Christ is the only way to the Father. There is no other door. You can only get to the Father through Jesus Christ. He said, I am the way, the truth. Nobody comes to the Father except by me. I love you all. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye.